everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. We'll give it a couple minutes here as people are trickling in, so we can see all your Zoom squares. You all are more than welcome to have your cameras on if you feel comfortable. If you're not feeling up to that today, that's totally fine. We will have time for a Q&A at the end, so you feel free to unmute, ask any questions. Throughout, though, feel free to drop any questions in the chat. But for time's sake, I'm just gonna give everyone like maybe 1 minute and then we'll get rolling here. But thank you all for joining us this afternoon. And I do recognize some names that I think I've met with already, so good to see you all again virtually. All right, we'll go ahead and get started here, just so we have enough time for questions at the end. But welcome to the psychology department, to our incoming transfer students. We love our transfer students in our department and our campus at large. We're super excited to welcome you all to the psychology department officially and kick off your time here at UCSC as Banana Slugs. I whipped out my Pacific Banana Slug informational t-shirt for our session today to match the info session. It's got a lot of slug facts on it, so I thought that was fitting. And we're going to talk through a lot of different things with our department, our major requirements, enrollment, all that good stuff. My colleague Julia dropped in the chat. You all can view the slides right now. So if you want to have those on your device as well, I know I'm sharing my screen, but we'll send these out with the recording of the session as well after. Our session today will send all that out to you all so you can rewatch it if you missed anything. So don't feel like you have to remember everything from today's session because it is a lot of information. Then come welcome week, which is the week where you all move in before classes start, we'll have an in-person presentation that will be a little bit more catered to on-campus opportunities and meeting everyone in person as well. Awesome. So we'll get started here. So we'll start with some introductions. My name is Paige Anderson. I use she, her pronouns. I know I've met some of you already, and I'm one of the psychology staff advisors. I'm also a UCSC alum. I was class of 2021, and I studied literature and education. And I'm super excited to be with you all today. And I'll pass it to my colleague, Julia.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here today. I'm Julia Wanlin. I use she, her pronouns. Also one of the undergraduate staff advisors for the psych department, as well as a UCSC alum. And I'll pass it over to Ryan.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Ryan Mulligan. I use he, him pronouns. I'm the staff advisor, also a psych alum, and look forward to getting to know you all. Pass it to Becca.
Hi everyone, my name is Becca or Rebecca, either one is fine. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm one of the staff advisors and also an alum of UCSC class of 2023. And I will pass it back to Paige.
Awesome. So that's your core advising team in all our glory. Here we are. But I wanted to introduce a couple more folks who aren't in this session today, but they will be with you all during Welcome Week. And you may communicate with them intermittently throughout the summer. So Wendy is our undergraduate program coordinator and assistant manager in our department. She is our supervisor, and she's wonderful. So she works in the office with us, and you'll get to interact with her and meet her in a few months. And then Carrie Walker is our field study director. Field study is an internship opportunity that we highly encourage in our department, and Carrie oversees all the different internship placements and working with students. So you'll get to meet them soon, but they're a part of our core team as well. Awesome. So before we get into kind of the general outline of our presentation, I just wanted to break down what advising looks like at UCSC, because I know coming from a community college, it looks a little bit different. For one, counselor versus advisor. We use the term advisor. That is the equivalent role to what you were receiving at your community college academic support from your counselor. But here, counselors are coming from our counseling and psychological services, which we'll talk about a little bit later. So we refer to ourselves as academic advisors. So if you're talking about academic support, that would be advising. And it's a two-tiered system. So all of you have a residential college affiliation. So for example, I was a Stevenson College affiliate. Let me know in the chat if anyone else is a Stevenson College affiliate. I'd love to hear it. So I had my Stevenson College advisors, and they really manage everything that's not major specific. So basically, if it has nothing to do with your major, you're probably going to want to go to your college advisors to ask that question. Usually the majority of that revolves around general education or GE requirements, which all of you probably have completed all, if not most of those. But if you have questions about your IGETC, your transfer involving your GE requirements, they're going to be the best people to ask. So I encourage you all to schedule an appointment with them too. Even if you don't really have any questions, just be like, hey, wanted to introduce myself and could you explain what your role is a little bit more? But you can see here we've listed some of the main things they talk about. Major exploration, which for you all isn't as relevant because you already have your major pathway, but you may be looking to add a second major possibly or a minor, and they can help you in that exploration journey as well. And that kind of overlaps with us too. We help with that as well. If you need to take a leave of absence, things like that, more complicated forms, things like that, a lot of that goes to the college advisors as well. Major advisors, that's us. Pretty much anything psychology and cognitive science related is going to be, you come to us. One major role we also have is creating your signed academic plan. And a little bit later in the presentation, my colleague Ryan will show you a little bit of a screenshot of what that looks like. Some of you may already have one for those of you that I've met with and some of my colleagues have met with. So we talk about that as well as declaration requirements, all of which you all have done or are in the progress of completing. So you all are in that upper division realm coming in as transfer students. And then we also talk about enrollment every quarter. We'll talk about how fall is a little bit different with enrollment versus future quarters in a little bit. And then lastly, we also have different departmental opportunities, a lot of which revolves around experiential learning, which includes things like that field study program that Carrie oversees. We also have research opportunities in our active labs here in the psychology department. So we can walk you through different options to enhance your resume as well. So that's the two-tiered system. So college, major. So more specifically, what can a psychology undergraduate advisor help you with? There's our pictures again. You'll see them plastered all over the place. So this is a screenshot of our website, and that's where you can schedule appointments with us. Each of these, this is just a screenshot, but you can see it says make an appointment with Paige. This is my personal availability link. So in the system Slug Success, which is where you schedule, you can click on each of our availability links and it will filter just to that advisor. You'll see an alpha split listed as well. So you'll see A through FA for me, so on and so forth. If my availability doesn't work for you and your last name is A through FA, you can meet with any of us. So don't feel like you're like limited to just one advisor. But if you meet with one person and you really like consistency, you're not going to hurt the rest of our feelings if you prefer just to meet with that person moving forward. But like I said, we do all of those signed academic plans. If you're interested in adding more on top of that, you would take your plan to the respective advising teams in another department. So there's an equivalent of our role for every other major and minor, but I won't speak for their advising teams in terms of their requirements and what you may or may not be able to add as a transfer student. So you'll want to talk to them directly. You can also come to us if you're interested in studying abroad. Obviously, the transfer timeline is a little bit shorter, so you kind of want to get on jump on that if that's of interest to you. Julia is our advisor who does the majority of that work. You can certainly email any of us about it, but I'll probably be asking Julia to clarify some things, so you can meet with her if you're interested in that. We also do course substitutions. This is something you don't need to be overly concerned about right now, but if you feel like you're taking a course that could satisfy something in an area that you don't see listed on our website, there is a petition process for that. And then again, those experiential learning opportunities, we can walk you through those as well. And then lastly, graduate school preparation. This isn't a major part of our role. I do want to clarify that we are undergraduate advisors. However, I have gone to graduate school and I can impart some knowledge in that area, as can my colleagues, in terms of the work that they've done in their undergraduate careers that have informed their careers. So we can help you along that journey of researching options, maybe what's lacking in your resume. Hey, I don't really have a relationship with the faculty. How can I remedy that, right, for those applications? So we can have those types of conversations. And then another key part of our team, our psychology peer advising team. These are current students. This is also a field study placement opportunity further down the line if you're interested in doing field study. But these are current students and, they're your equals. They're still taking courses. They're still grinding. Sometimes one or more of them are transfer students as well, which is awesome. So they kind of have that shared experience. And they offer a ton of drop-in hours in our office and virtually during the academic year. They don't work over the summer, but they're an instrumental part of our team. And if our appointment slots are full, they have a ton of availability as well to support you. So they can support you in things like grad checks. Hey, am I missing anything? I'm a couple quarters away, just making sure I'm on track. And enrollment support, especially during the height of enrollment when things can get a little bit stressful. Maybe courses are filling up. What can my backups be, right? They're there to help you with things like that. Awesome. So that's just a breakdown of our role, peer advising, how advising works overall at UCSC. And now we'll get into kind of the specifics of the psychology department. So first we'll talk about just our department overall. Our majors we offer psychology and cognitive science, all of which I'm sure you all are familiar with because you've already done the major declaration requirements for your majors. We'll talk about more specific major declaration requirements, major requirements, all that good stuff, and experiential learning. We'll talk about enrollment, specifically how this fall enrollment is different from future enrollment. Some of you may have met with us and learned about, we'll be giving you permission codes. You may be like, what the heck is a permission code? We'll delve into that in this presentation. We'll talk about campus resources, so things that are at your disposal on our campus that a lot of people don't know about, or maybe they're a little bit nervous to approach, but they're there to help you. And then lastly, we'll talk about just where our office is located and things to be looking forward to in the next few months. You'll also notice throughout the presentation, we have some photos of campus, so check those out. You'll also notice some advice from our class of 2026 in our transition slides as well, so check those out. So you all probably know some of this already. These are the two majors offered in our department. Everybody here is either a proposed psychology or cognitive science student. So psychology, obviously, study of the human mind, development, and its functions. We're going to be looking at that, how behavior is affected in a given context. Cognitive science is a little bit different in that it's more interdisciplinary. So you're going to be looking at things like thought, memory, perception, language, artificial intelligence. And because that is such a varied amount of different subfields there, you're going to be delving into different departments. So that could include things like philosophy, anthropology, linguistics, and computer science, amongst others. So this is a breakdown of all of our subfields. And when I say subfields, this just means like a specific group of courses that falls under a specific theme in psychology. So developmental, for example, anything in Psych 101 to 119. So if you're like, what is Psych 121? What is that course? Well, we know that's a cognitive because it falls in this number range. So we have developmental, cognitive, social, clinical, methods, and independent study. And independent study includes some of those things I was talking about. 193, which is field study, and 194 being research. So this is a little bit of an abstract roadmap of Sammy the Slug, or you making your way through your time here. Some of these things as transfer students you've already done, so you can kind of skip ahead on the trail a little bit, ignore some of the signs. General education, you may have a couple more things to make up there, so that's a great way to fill up some slots in your schedule, but otherwise you all have kind of done those things. Declaring your major you can do as early as the first day of instruction. You can submit the e-form to do that. And like I said, you all have done those requirements. So that should be pretty easy. And we wouldn't have admitted you if you hadn't done those, right? And then we'll talk about Psych 100 and why that's an important foundational course. And when we get to enrollment, we'll talk about enrollment in Psych 100 specifically in the fall. Upper division requirements, that's anything 100 or above, and that will make up the majority of the coursework you all have left here during your last 2 years here. We'll talk about the senior seminar requirement, which is going to be a little bit later, which is an exit requirement to graduate. And then there's Sammy the Slug graduating, woohoo. So that's our goal, is to get you to that finish line. So I'm going to pass it over to Julie to talk a little bit more about the specifics of our majors.
Thank you. We can go to the next slide. Okay, so Paige talked about this a little bit already, but you are all entering UCSC as a proposed psychology or cognitive science major. And proposing a major just means that you indicated you were interested in that major when you applied to UCSC. And as a transfer student, you've already completed most of the major qualification courses. Eventually, you will need to declare your major, and you can do that once all of your major declaration requirements are complete. But like I said, most of you have already done that. Just some cognitive science students may still have a requirement to complete in fall before they can declare. The instructions on how to declare your major are linked on this slide. It's a pretty simple process that involves submitting a form through your MyUCSC portal. Next slide, please. So for the psychology major, there are 3 requirements to declare, which are pre-calculus, Psych 1, and statistics. And again, if you're a proposed psychology major, you should have already completed these. Next slide, please. For cognitive science, there are some slightly different major declaration requirements, which are calculus, programming, statistics, and Psych 20. You must earn a GPA of 2.8 or higher in these 4 courses in order to declare cognitive science, which comes out to about a B or a B minus average. Most of you who are proposed cognitive science have already completed calculus, programming, and statistics. Some of you might have completed Psych 20 at a community college, whereas some of you may still need to take it in the fall, and we will help you out with enrolling in that. And one of my colleagues will talk about that more later. Next slide. So we asked you all to send us your unofficial transcripts via email so that we can verify that you've met our major qualification requirements and so that we can assist you with enrolling in psych courses in the fall. You should have already sent them to us, but if you haven't, do so as soon as possible. And if you have any questions or concerns about that process, you can reach out to us via email and we can assist you. You should have also sent your official transcripts to UCSC, but if you haven't done that, again, do that as soon as possible. I believe you have to do that before getting an enrollment appointment. And I think that's it for that slide. We can go to the next one. Okay, so the major declaration policy. This basically tells you when you need to declare your major by. So transfer students need to declare their major by the deadline in their 2nd quarter. So for you all, that would be February 5th. You can submit your petition to declare as soon as you've satisfied all of the major declaration requirements. However, if you've already satisfied them, we just ask that you wait until the 1st day of fall quarter to submit your petition. The 1st day of fall quarter is September 24th. So if you submit it before then, we won't be able to review it right now. And then this part of the major declaration policy likely doesn't affect you, but in case you know other transfer students who are asking about this, transfer students who were not accepted into UCSC as a psychology or cognitive science major cannot switch into these majors or add them as a 2nd major. And now I'll pass it over to Rebecca, who will go more in depth on the rest of our major requirements.
Okay, thank you. So for the psychology major, there are 2 concentrations that you can choose between. These are general psychology and intensive psychology. The main difference is that general psychology requires 8 upper division courses, while intensive psychology requires 11 upper division courses. So intensive is just a bit more intensive. Okay, so on this slide, we have the general psychology requirements. So in addition to the major declaration requirements that you should have completed before coming to UCSC, you will also need to complete 2 other lower division courses. Some of you may be coming in with these already completed. These are Psych 10, Introduction to Developmental Psychology, and Psych 20, which is Cognition, Fundamental Theories. And these are like prerequisites for upper division courses, so you didn't need to complete them before coming to UCSC, but it's great if you did. And then for the upper division requirements, all psychology majors must take Psych 100 at UCSC. This is a research methods class, and it's a prerequisite for all other upper division courses. And many of you may have taken a like psychology or social sciences research methods class before coming to UCSC, but it's part of a specific like GE requirement at UCSC called the disciplinary communication requirement. So you'll need to take it again in the fall, basically, but we'll help you out with enrolling in that class. And then your other upper division requirements include taking 1 developmental course, 1 cognitive course, and 1 social course, plus 3 additional upper division courses from different subfields, of which there are 6 subfields that Paige talked about earlier. And out of one of these 6 overall courses, one should be a senior seminar, which I'll talk about more in a sec. And then in addition to the upper division psychology coursework, you'll also need to take an upper division outside course, which is an interdisciplinary course from an approved list of majors, most of which are humanities and social sciences related majors. And you can find a list of these requirements, major worksheets, and all approved departments for the upper division outside course on our website. And you can go to the next slide, please. Also, I hope I sound okay. I'm currently on a road trip in the Pacific Northwest, so I'm in a random cafe in the middle of Washington, so I hope my audio is okay. Okay, thank you. So all of their general psychology requirements are also required for intensive psych, plus these 3 additional classes listed here. There's one advanced research methods course, which is either psychological data analysis or qualitative research methods. And then the required 2 quarters of independent study, which is that experiential learning opportunities we were talking about earlier. So your options for this include field study, working in one of our research labs, or completing a senior thesis. And any of these are great opportunities for students looking for more hands-on experience. Also, it's important to note that if you are a general psych major or a cognitive science major, you can still take advanced research methods courses and participate in independent study. It's just that it's required for intensive psych and not necessarily required for general psych or cognitive science. And all psychology students will be prompted to choose a concentration, either general or intensive, when you declare your major. But no matter which concentration you choose, your diploma will say the same thing. You'll just receive a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology, and the concentration will just be listed on your transcript. So there's not a huge difference between the two, and you can switch back and forth at any time. So if in your first or second quarter, when you're going to declare your major, you're not sure whether you want to do field study like a year later, you can always switch later. You can go to the next slide. Thank you. So for cognitive science, the 4 courses that we mentioned are lower division courses. And of course, if you haven't taken Psych 20, we'll help you out with enrolling in Psych 20 in the fall. Most of the other requirements are upper division, though there are a few lower division options. So similar to psychology students, in addition to the major declaration requirements, you'll need to take Psych 100, which is that research methods class, before you can take your other upper division psych courses. And the other upper division psych courses are 3 cognitive core classes from any of our 4 main cognitive areas, which are visual and spatial cognition or perception, neuroscience, language, or memory. So you'll choose 3 classes from this list. And then you'll also have to complete 3 upper division cognitive science electives, one of which should be a senior seminar, and these can come from a broader list. So there's some developmental courses, some social courses, research or field study or senior thesis would count towards one of these requirements. And as an interdisciplinary major, you also have to complete 4 interdisciplinary electives from our pre-approved list. One should be an upper division course, so anything between 100 and 199 from the list, and 3 lower division. Or if you wanted to, you could take all 4 lower division, which would be like Anthropology 1, Bio 20C, and Linguistics 50, and Linguistics 80K, for example. So those are all under 100. If you did do that, you would need to take 1 upper division psych course. And yeah, the list of major requirements and worksheets can be found on our website, as well as the full list of interdisciplinary elective requirements, because there is a lot. And we can go to the next slide. Thank you. So we've mentioned the senior seminar requirement a bit, and to go into more detail, this requirement is tied to your DC disciplinary communication requirement. And it's important to note that enrollment in or registration for senior seminars works differently than your other courses. Brian will talk about your fall enrollment in a minute, as well as what to expect after this fall. But just so you know, the senior seminar works differently than all of this. You'll need to fill out the senior seminar survey that we send out each quarter. And you receive this survey once you have senior standing, which means you've earned or are about to earn 135 credits. So you'll fill out this Google form to request a permission code, and we'll send it to you. You can list your preferences on the survey. So you don't have to worry about this for a sec. Most of you should be coming in with somewhere between 90 to 105 credits or somewhere in that range. yeah, so it'll be a few quarters before you have to worry about this. But please keep in mind for both cognitive science and psychology majors, this is not an additional requirement. It counts towards one of your other major requirements. So like, as I mentioned, for general psychology, there's 8 upper division requirements. And the senior seminar isn't a 9th requirement. It can be fulfilled through one of your other classes that's already required for the major. Okay, I think we can go to the next slide. Thank you. Okay, so we have those 3 experiential learning opportunities: field study, senior thesis, and research. So gonna go into depth about field study real quick. So this program is a for credit academic internship program designed for psychology and cognitive science majors, and it allows you to put classroom knowledge to use in a professional setting, get more experience in the field. So for 2 consecutive quarters, you would devote 10 hours per week to a community-based internship. This comes out to 200 hours over the course of both quarters of like internship time, basically, which looks great on a resume and gives you a lot of great experience for a possible future career. And the psychology department's field study director, Carrie, as Paige mentioned earlier, will match each student with a faculty member depending on the internship you get. So you get a lot of like support and guidance through the program. And you meet with this faculty member. You have to attend some like skill building workshops each quarter and do some journaling exercises. And it's really great. Just so you know, in order to get involved, you have to attend a field study info session before. So you kind of want to plan 3 quarters in advance. So if you wanted to do a like field study internship in the fall and the winter of next year, you'd want to attend an info session sometime this year. And you will need to complete Psych 100 before getting accepted into the field study program. So you won't be able to get started in like this upcoming winter quarter unless you're taking Psych 100 this summer already. Okay, I think we can go to the next slide. Awesome, thank you. So just a little bit about research and senior thesis. So research also provides a lot of hands-on experience for students interested in getting involved in research later, or even if that's not your plans for a future career, it's very important experience. And typically students who join a research lab will log 12 to 15 hours per week in the lab and complete tasks as assigned. Typically there's like a literature review and lab meetings, and depending on where like the research currently is, whether it's in its beginning stages or the lab is like doing analysis of data that's been collected, your work will look a little bit different according to each. And our faculty each have different research labs. So we have pages on our website where you can look into like the specific work that each lab does and choose one and apply to one according to your interests. And lastly, for the senior thesis, which is Psych 195, this takes research a bit further because it's an opportunity for you to conduct your own research with the guidance of a faculty member. So for any psychology or cognitive science student, you can totally participate in these. And it's just for intensive psych, it's required. So please keep that in mind. If you want to do intensive psych, you have to choose one of these. If you want to do general psych or your cognitive science major, you have a little bit more flexibility whether you like really want to. But we totally encourage you to, because again, this is great ways to get involved, get to know your faculty, and learn more about what you may want to do in a future career. Okay, I hope everyone could hear all of that. I will pass it over to Ryan to talk about enrollment and academic planning.
All right, thank you. All right, we're going to talk about some academic planning and enrollment. Enrollment's probably the thing that you're most worried about right now. For you all, I recommend starting by copying or visiting the slideshow that we're displaying right now. There's a lot of links and resources about enrollment within it, as you can see right here. A couple things you're going to want to keep in mind in general, as every quarter is going to be different in terms of its enrollment dates. In terms of some of the expectations you're going to have this particular quarter, we're going to be doing a lot of hand holding. We're going to give you codes to enroll in. Do not expect that in the future. Although we do have enrollment support tools that will ultimately leave you with a code potentially. But generally speaking, you're going to be on your own winter, spring, and so on. All the same, be mindful of your enrollment dates and your enrollment appointments, which I'll explain how to figure out in a minute. Plan your schedule ahead of time. Be mindful of enrollment prep week. You know, when your shopping cart opens up and you have the ability to navigate what classes are available, you want to use that time to prepare. So when it is time for you to hit the button and enroll in your classes, you're already ready to go. Um, Couple things to help you with that. We have a tentative course schedule listed here. Emphasis on tentative. Things will get dropped, things will get added, but you could use that to sort of plan ahead for yourself if you want to. We do have an enrollment assistance page as well, which just gives you some pro tips. One of the biggest ones is going to be learning how to waitlist, and I'll explain that process in just a minute. And there's also some resources in terms of finding third courses, which I'll explain in a moment as well. We can go ahead and go to the next page. So, aside from this quarter, again, we're going to give you two codes. So if you are Psych student, we are going to give you a code for Psych 100 and one random upper division Psych course. You're not going to be able to pick that random course, and you're not going to be able to swap it. If you don't want to enroll in it, you do not have to, but I strongly recommend you do. Either way, it's going to help you chip away at one of your requirements you're going to need to complete eventually. If things don't go as well as you planned in terms of enrollment this winter and so on, it'll make you feel a little bit better to know that you're ahead of the game with an extra requirement already under your belt. As mentioned before, Psych 100, even though it's titled Research Methods, and you may have taken a Research Methods class in the past, you will be expected to take our Research Methods class. There's several reasons, the primary one being it's a GE that needs to be completed through our major, so you can't avoid it, and there's no substituting it, period. And the other, frankly, is it really is catered to our department and the expectations of our faculty and the kind of coursework and writing expectations you're going to have in all the classes you have after that. So, after this quarter, when we're giving you those two codes, oh, I should mention one thing. For cognitive science students, we will give you a code for Psych 100. If you haven't completed the Psych 20 requirement at your community college, which is entirely possible because not everybody offers something that articulates, we will give you a code for Psych 20 instead of an upper division Psych course. You're going to want to use that for sure. You're going to need that to declare, to be eligible to declare. And honestly, if you're not, you're going to be in a tough position. So use those two codes we give you for sure if you're a Cog Sci student. Anyway, going back to the future a little bit, if come winter, you're going to be kind of on your own. We're always here to support you via email and drop-ins and things like that. But in terms of enrollment, we're not going to be giving you codes right off the bat. You're going to be stuck with our two-pass enrollment system. So one of the things that comes up a lot is courses will fill up really quickly. You'll get your enrollment appointment, log in, discover all the classes are full, and have no wait lists. Well, the classes are probably going to be full, or may be, at least during this first year or so. But there will be wait lists. You just have to wait to your second round enrollment appointment. There's a couple of other differences. So first round, you'll be limited to enrolling in 14 credits, which is essentially two classes and some change. So prioritize those two most important classes for yourself in your shopping cart and be prepared to enroll in them. Know which two are going to be the most important to you right off the bat. And then save a third elective of some kind, most likely, to enroll during your second pass. And as well as that, during your second pass, plan to put any courses that you couldn't otherwise enroll in during your first pass on the wait list. You're going to want to be on the wait list both to potentially show up to the class and hope for a code from the professor, or to qualify for some enrollment support that I will explain in just a moment. We can go ahead and go to the next page, I think. All right, cool. So I mentioned permission codes. So what's going to happen well, I guess on August 3rd, you will be given an email, every single one of you. So here's lesson number one for entering UCSC and working within our department. You need to read your emails. Important correspondence is going to come from SciADV on a regular basis, and you're going to need to respond to it and or use the information provided in order to progress within our department. The first and most important one is going to be this email that's going to include a summary of the courses that we've reviewed on your transcripts that articulate. These courses, as you see here in this demo, Psych 1, Psych 2, Math 3, Psych 10, and so on, will be added to your account as essentially the prerequisite placeholders for the time being. That will allow you to enroll on your own in anything that may require these courses as prerequisites in the future, and at least until all your transfer credit is officially put in through it with admissions. And then you'll be given two permission codes. At the bottom, you see Psych 100, and there's an example one for Psych 144. I don't know what actual course we would be offering you guys, or you would actually receive this time around. But again, I recommend using it. And again, for Cog Sci students, that may alternatively be Psych 20, and you absolutely want to use that. All right. Um, Instructions will be included in the email. There's a link that essentially takes you to a PDF that the registrar has created that walks you through the process of using the permission code. If you can't figure it out on your own, definitely use that PDF. Okay. And that's how you're going to enroll in those two important classes. The third class, which you're probably going to want to enroll in, is kind of on you. I suggest looking through the course catalog right now, seeing what stands out to you as fun, interesting. Use this time to sort of take advantage of the fact that UCSC offers all sorts of fun stuff. You can make Muppets, read Harry Potter. I don't know, dive into your favorite historical subject. It doesn't really matter. It does not have to be psych related for that third class, but you do need the credits, so plan to find something. Okay. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide. So yeah, this is all summarizing not essentially what I said already. Yeah, we're going to be giving you those first two permission codes this time around, but don't expect it to be the case in the future. In the future, you are going to essentially be on your own. You need to be mindful of your enrollment appointment, which I'll explain how to find in a minute. You're going to want to be prepared with your shopping cart full before then and be ready to hit submit during that enrollment appointment. Um, there's going to be some issues potentially for students who aren't declared yet, so I would strongly encourage you, most of you, if not all of you, should be eligible to declare already. Again, you're going to need to wait till the quarter starts, but declare sometime this fall. That way you avoid any potential issues for declaration being essentially a prerequisite for enrolling in future upper division courses. Okay? Um, if anything comes up, always email SciDV. You can send drop-ins, and we're happy to help you out. Um, let's see. Yeah, and in general, read all of our emails. There's going to be a moment in which, let's say this winter and spring, most likely. I think next year you'll probably have an easier time of it, but you're going to find that the courses you want are probably full before your enrollment appointment even starts, and that's going to be scary. I would encourage you to take a deep breath because it's not the end of the world. We have support tools, but you're going to need to read your emails. We're going to send you junior permission code surveys during your second round enrollment appointment-ish, during that week, essentially. And you're going to have a week to follow up with that survey. You're going to need to make sure you're waitlisted in the courses that you want already. Include them in as your response in the survey, and there's no guarantees necessarily, but it is going to be your best chance at getting another permission code essentially for that particular course that you want. Um, Otherwise, the next best thing would be making sure that you stay on that wait list and show up during the first week of instruction. Talk to the professor at that time. They can decide whether or not room can be made for you. And honestly, worst case scenario, you continue to pursue elective credits, and you're probably going to be fine. I strongly encourage you to chat with us about that and other alternative courses that you can look into taking to stay on track. Let's go ahead and move forward a little bit. So I mentioned looking for your enrollment dates. So My UCSC is where you're going to find that. Unfortunately, the registrar and enrollment folks don't just email that stuff to everybody. They update your profile and you need to find it on your own every quarter. So if my UCSC has a student center section, which looks like you see on the screen, and includes some basic information about your enrollment, any account summaries and things like that. But on the far sidebar, you'll have a few important things. One is if you have any holds in your account, you're going to want to know that. Two, a to-do list, which is going to be essential now. If you don't already have an enrollment appointment, it might be because there's something on that to-do list that needs to be completed still. So make sure there isn't anything on that to-do list you still need to do. That's going to be true going forward, but certainly right now. And then finally, the enrollment date section. Clicking on the link below that will give you a clear list of your upcoming enrollment appointments. Right now, it's just going to be your summer enrollment appointment, which should allow you to enroll in 19 credits using the permission codes that we give you and so on. In the future, again, it's going to be broken into a couple different appointments. One that will allow you to enroll in 14 credits, and then one that will allow you to enroll in your third class plus waitlist in other classes you may be interested in. And this is, again, where you would find it in the future. You can go ahead and go to the next slide. So, planning. We want to plan ahead a little bit, so we've made some academic plan templates. You can review them whenever you want to, although I strongly recommend meeting with us sooner than later to actually build one. You got a lot of work to do. coming up right away. Unlike freshmen who have a little bit more time, you're going to dive in right into the middle of things. So make a point of trying to meet with us if you can, attend drop-ins and/or make an appointment with us, have us help you build an academic plan. And let me show you what some of them look like. Okay, so let's start with this is a full intensive psychology academic plan. The first 2 years, you probably don't need to worry about, hopefully. You've completed most of these requirements before even entering. What will happen this third year is, again, we will give you Psych 100 and a code for something else, if not Psych 20, an upper division psych course of some kind. And then the remaining requirements are sort of outlined as they are here. They don't have to be done in any particular order. They can all be shuffled around, however you see fit, whatever most interests you in a given quarter, or honestly, whatever you happen to have chance to actually get a seat in. It might decide how this gets moved around. We update these manually. This is not an automatic tool. You meet with us to basically dive into this, readjust things as needed, and give us a clear view as to like what's expected of you, how much time you have left to do it, and where it all these requirements can fit. Um, Other resources within these academic plans, which aren't displayed here. There's going to be a huge list of basically web links for various resources, both within our department as well as on campus. If you're interested in anything related to global learning, career success, like you want to plan for grad school or a future job, anything related to our field study program, undergraduate research. One of the big important links would be our events and deadlines page is linked there. I would just bookmark this academic plan so you have access to all those resources in one spot instead of trying to bookmark everything. Because it'll all be right there. It'll all be within this academic plan. And even some of the cells, even some of the courses have links attached to them. For example, the upper division outside course, that's kind of an intimidating requirement to have to navigate because there's literally like 1,600 options available to you there. You could use the link available there. It narrows things down to what's upcoming in that future quarter, what has no prerequisites specifically. So you can just pick something from that, what winds up being a much shorter list, and just trust that it's going to qualify for your major. Same is true of independent study in the sense that it gives you some information, takes you to a page rather with some information about how to complete that requirement. Okay, and let's go ahead and go to the CogSci template. Same story here. You can ignore the first 2 years, hopefully, with the exception of probably Psych 20. Expect to enroll in Psych 100, either Psych 20 or an upper division psych course, and then find a third class of your liking. I would recommend perhaps considering these interdisciplinary electives that we talked about, but it's up to you. I mean, take advantage. There's a lot of white space in all of these plans. They need to be filled up with something for credit. Find something fun. Again, learn how to make Muppets. If you want to, I don't know, find something that's interesting to you personally that you're curious about. We have a lot of resources here on campus, personal finance, things like that. You can get credit for it, and it's worth filling your time with. Okay. We can go ahead and go to the next page. So, one of the things that might be helpful for just about anybody, but certainly the folks that might be feeling like they're falling behind, had a particularly rough junior year, they couldn't get in anything they wanted, and I feel like they're gonna have a really tough senior year as a result. Summer session is here for you. It'll help you catch up. It'll help you get ahead if you're already doing fine. It'll make your next year much easier if you can find courses that are either online or if you can attend physically here in person. There's extra opportunities for you there during summer session, particularly in the case of if you for those that can actually stay here on campus. Seats in classes that wouldn't otherwise be available are going to be wide open to you because most people unfortunately can't attend in person. But there's also some online options too. So if you can't, look for those online options. Be ready to enroll whenever summer session says enrollment starts, and take advantage of that resource if you can. Okay. And by the way, the current list of classes for this summer is generally what you can expect to see in future summers, with a few exceptions in the upper divisions. All the lower divisions, like 100, things like that, are going to be offered every year. There's always going to be something in every subfield available to you. Hopefully, something you haven't completed already. If you have questions about any of it, obviously reach out to us. All right, we can go to the next slide. So in addition to your academic planners, which again is manually made and updated by us, you want to sit and meet with us anytime you or email us whenever you want to navigate your academic plan or move things around on it. There is also an automated tool called a degree progress report, which you could find in your My UCSC portal in your student center. To find it, you'll see a tab or a drop-down thing called Other Academic Information, and within it is an option called Degree Progress Report. When we go to the next page, you can see what it kind of looks like. It will eventually fill in with all of your transfer credit, so all these lower division requirements will kind of disappear, hopefully, and be hidden behind a nice green check mark. For now, expect it to have a bunch of red X's on it. It takes admissions a while to process everybody's records, honestly, a full quarter. So don't expect everything to be fully up to date, at least as you would expect it to be until probably winter for most of you. But if at that point there's still errors, obviously reach out to us. We can look into it and like what's going on and maybe manually fix it. Beyond that, it's going to show you basically summarize what your remaining requirements might be. Anything with a red X on it that you know for certain you haven't done is something you probably need to do still. You don't have to do it right away necessarily, but it's something you want to keep on your radar. Inversely, anything with a check mark is something that you've completed and can put in the back burner in the back of your mind. And then finally, on the next page, anytime you enroll in something, you'll see a nice yellow diamond next to it, and that basically just says you're enrolled. You can also use that as a guide to say, like, this course qualifies for this requirement. For those of you interested in double majoring, the DPR is going to get confused. And there's going to be some situations too where, I don't know, for one reason or another, particularly for transfer students, a course that was supposed to articulate doesn't, and it doesn't provide the accurate information. Definitely reach out to us. We will fix it. In the case of double majors, if anything like overlaps, like for example, Linguistics 100, if you're double majoring in linguistics, that's going to be required of that major in it. But if you want to use it as your outside course for us and you could double count it, we're going to need to manually fix it. And you're going to want to talk with us about that. Don't assume that the DPR is going to be accurate all the time. Um, Always feel free to check in with us about it. In the end, the DPR is going to be what everyone uses, ourselves, your other majors, your college, the registrar when we're processing your graduation. So we're going to work really hard to try to close it up at the end of all things. But for now, I would consider it just an alternative to the academic plan for viewing what you have ahead of you. Okay. And then I guess that's the end of my section. So I'll pass it back to Paige.
Awesome. Thanks, Ryan. Awesome. So we're going to head into some campus resources now. And we're going to run through these a little bit quickly just so we have time for some questions at the end. But we should be able to stay a few minutes after 3. So if anyone has questions they want to ask during that time, feel free, but keep dropping them in the chat. Awesome. We'll start here. So first, our libraries on campus. So we have many different libraries, some of which are in our residential colleges, but my favorite is McHenry. This is kind of in the geographical center of campus. McHenry is literally in the middle of the forest, so it's really beautiful. It's 4 stories surrounded by trees. First floor has a cafe, so I would just get there at opening time and stay there for several hours and write my papers when I had finals, stuff like that. And there's a cafe, so I could get my food and just stay and not have to interrupt my studying time. And kind of the unspoken rule with McHenry is the higher it goes, the quieter it gets. So it's noisier on the first floor with the cafe, and then it's like creepy quiet at the top. And then you can also reserve study rooms. So that can be for group projects. You can reserve them for just yourself. And then some clubs also use them for club meetings as well.
Okay, so we also recommend utilizing LSS. This is Learning Support Services. You'll find that at UCSC, we use a lot of acronyms, so you'll be hearing some more in these next few slides. But LSS is awesome, and it offers one-on-one tutoring, small group tutoring, and there's also a writing center where trained students can help you revise your papers and provide feedback. And in general, the service is just really helpful with like study tips, depending on the course you're taking. So if you're worried at all about a course, or you think you might be worried, or you just want some support, LSS is a really great resource.
Awesome. Next up is the Disability Resource Center, the DRC. Jumping on the acronym train. You may want to start making a list. Literally everything is an acronym. UCSC is also known as UC Strong Calves because we have hills on our campus. So now you have an inside joke as a banana slug. But DRC provides accommodations for students on campus. And these are a wide range of accommodations, and this is to ensure educational equity and access amongst our students. So some of those accommodations may include extra testing time, alternative testing spaces. When I started at UCSC, I'm pretty open about the fact that I have OCD, a mental health disorder, so I wanted to make sure I had my accommodations set up. If you feel like you have accommodations that should be set up, I encourage you to do that this summer before you start because it can be pretty backed up when students come up in the fall. So I recommend setting that up. This is also for physical disabilities as well. We have our disability van service that can drop you off wherever you need on campus. Different technologies, screen readers, all that good stuff. You can check out the DRC for all of those.
Okay, so if you're an if you're an Educational Opportunity Program student, which is also EOP, you have access to EOP services, which provide you with resources to achieve personal and academic goals while in college. These resources include peer mentors, a textbook access program, a wellness program, and more. So if you're not sure if you're eligible for EOP, I encourage you to go to their website because they have a list of like what would make you eligible.
Awesome. And then we have basic needs on campus, and this encapsulates a lot of different things, but essentially the way I like to look at it is if you're trying to succeed in a class and you're concerned about where your next meal is coming from, if you're concerned about paying your rent, if you have like a really acute financial situation, or an emergent housing situation, maybe you feel unsafe in your residence or something like that. Basic needs is kind of a big hub that covers a lot of things, including things like slug support for more emergent things like emergency housing and things like that. We also have food pantries all over the campus that anyone can access. So you don't need to be eligible for them in any capacity. So you can stop by any of those and get some free food.
Okay, and I think our final resource is CAPS, which is Counseling and Psychological Services. This provides students with mental health and wellness services. They also provide preventative outreach and consultation services. And there's individual counseling, group counseling, short-term counseling, long-term counseling, drop-in sessions, crisis assistance, a mobile crisis team. So they have a ton of different resources. They're available to any registered UCSC student and are confidential. So it's really great because you can meet with a licensed professional, you can meet with a student. There's all kinds of different services. So if you're feeling like you need any kind of support, CAPS is a great place to go.
Awesome. And then lastly, this one's a little bit more specific for our transfer student community. This is STARS, so another large acronym, Services for Transfer, Reentry, and Resilient Scholars. Although their acronym's pretty cool. STARS, that's probably one of the ones that makes the most sense. So the way that website is designed is really cool because it's kind of identity specific. So if you're like, I don't know what the heck a resilient scholar is, resilient scholars include a lot of different things, but kind of the hallmark is a lot of students that are former foster youth, right? So if you're like, I don't know what is a resilient scholar, you can look at their website and be like, oh, this kind of this captures my experience, right? So you'd want to go to them for resources. So STARS right now is located at the Academic Resource Center, the ARC, beautiful building that's pictured there. They're hopefully going to be moving to Kresge College in the winter, so cross our fingers that they can get into their formal office space. There's a lot of moving pieces on campus right now. But STARS is really for you all, especially as transfer students. So you can get academic and personal support. Obviously, major related come to us, but they have workshops all the time. They do a lot of great programming for our transfer students. You can always visit their lounge too, free printing, free food pantry, and there's a study room you can reserve as well. And then lastly, I'll kind of breeze through some of this stuff. Looks like this class of 2026 graduate is reminding you to visit your professors. This was one of the funnier comments our class of 2026 left. So make sure to socialize with your instructors. So we kind of went over this already, but you can make an appointment with any of us, regardless of your last name. But if you want to meet with someone from your alpha split, A through FA would be me. But there's our pictures again. There's Sammy the Slug in the middle. And on the right is a screenshot of our drop-in calendar. So this summer we have drop-ins Monday through Wednesday, 9 to 11, 2 to 4. And it will always be a staff advisor, myself or one of my colleagues there. And then come the fall through the academic year, our peer advisors do all of our drop-ins, and that's Monday through Thursday from 9 to 12 and then 1 to 4. So lots of hours if all of our appointments are booked up, right? Always email SciEDV for any questions. Don't email SciPeer right now because our peers don't work over the summer, but once the fall starts, you can certainly reach out to them too. But SciEDV is your best friend. I get it, Julia gets it, Becca gets it, Ryan gets it, Carrie gets it, and Wendy gets it. So you have 6 people that could brainstorm and figure out the answer to your question. Someone will respond in a very timely manner. We pride ourselves on that, and we try to get back to you all as soon as we can. Our office location is Social Sciences 2, room 115. If you're like, where the heck is that? Understandable. You can see it's literally framed within a redwood forest. So we have a really cool building. Although Social Sciences 1 and 2 look exactly the same. So if you walk into the wrong one on accident, no worries because we're right next to Social Sciences 1 and we're in 150. So you go right up a flight of stairs and we're literally right there. We're remote right now, obviously. But come fall, our physical office is opened Monday through Thursdays, 9 to 12, 1 to 4. And we still work on Fridays, but we're remote. So the physical office is closed with the same hours. And a few final reminders before we get into questions. Please check your email. Please check your email. Please check your email. If you checked your email, you probably submitted your transcripts and then came to this session. So step in the right direction. I can't emphasize that enough. You all really need to be checking your UCSC email like more than once a day as students. That's really the only way to know what's going on. We have our psychology department newsletters that Ryan works on every quarter. So that's kind of a big overview of what's to come in the department. I've linked in also the events and deadlines webpage, also created by my colleague Ryan, who's our tech wizard. And this is where we upload our recordings. You can also look at past presentations. We had a clinical info session a few quarters ago. So if you're like, oh, that looks interesting, you can take a look at it. Please meet with us. It's our job. We love meeting with students. Go to class, go to office hours, and make sure you follow us on social media at UCSC Psychology. There's us again. And you can scan that if you want to follow our Instagram. And then lastly, a couple things. So we do a regular Instagram series. We post pretty regularly with just campus deadlines, things specific to our department, but we also do this series every Wednesday in the regular academic year called Wellness Wednesday. All the staff participate and our peer advisors. So we pick a wellness tip and then do an Instagram story on it. So I did volunteering as a form of wellness. And you can see I did a little bit of a write-up here. And I volunteer at the Seymour Center, and that's over at our Coastal Sciences campus, which I highly recommend checking out once you come to Santa Cruz. Awesome. There we are again. We're one big happy family with Sammy lurking in the background. Let me get out of this and then we can answer some questions. Awesome. And I know you all have been using the chat, so thank you for typing some questions in there. Does anyone have any questions they wanted to ask live at all? Yeah, go ahead.
I was just wondering, as transfer students, we start a little bit later, so we have less time to jump on opportunities than other students. And I was wondering, like, where my head should be at and what opportunities I should be looking for during the school year that would kind of help me be able to catch up and really make my application stand out for grad school.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question because it is something to keep in mind as transfer students that your timeline is a little bit more restricted. I would say being on the lookout for our field study program is a great way to kind of launch in. You do have to have Psych 100 done, but that's something to be looking at. Something I always tell students too is look for volunteer opportunities too. So sometimes people dismiss those as not really experiential learning. Volunteering can often lead to letters of recommendation, more connections, things like that. But do any other advisors want to add on?
I would make a habit of going to office hours with your faculty, even if you don't have questions, not just to socialize them, but in general, it's good to create relationships with those individuals for grad school. They can assist you potentially in finding a placement in their lab if you want to do research with them, or honestly, just having those kind of conversations enables you to learn more about how best to prepare yourself for your future goals and set yourself up for the opportunity to maybe get a letter from them too.
Definitely.
Also, there's a big like club rush called Cornucopia the week before classes start, and it's not just like clubs and student organizations, it's just so many groups over campus. There's several hundred. So that's a great place to go to like maybe find some clubs and start making connections.
Two more quick things to add. I put a link to a YouTube video in the chat called Experiential Learning Demystified, which was a presentation our field study coordinator put on last year that goes over the opportunities within our department and also outside of our department, whether it's on campus or even off campus. And then also, if you're considering studying abroad at all, I would say reach out as soon as possible. If you can reach out this summer or in fall quarter, that's great. You usually have to plan for global learning about a year in advance.
Absolutely. Um, does that help?
Yeah, it does. And also kind of like, sorry, I don't want to take up too much time, but on that note, like for abroad opportunities, I also feel like we have less time. And I was wondering like if I should prioritize wanting to go abroad or prioritizing like research and getting in with my professors while I'm here.
Julia, I think I'll let you take that one. That's a hard one though.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on your goals and what you want to get out of your time at UCSC. It might be possible to do both, but I think that would just require more like individualized discussion. So maybe come to drop-ins or schedule an appointment with us to chat about it more.
I would second that. Definitely plan to chat with us. But I would say you have more time than you think. If you want to go abroad, plan to go abroad. Um, this is your chance to do that, and you should take advantage. The other stuff will be waiting for you. If you need to extend your time a little bit, that might be worth keeping in mind potentially. You are still a little limited. You can only be here for 3 years total. And if you have financial aid, there might be other considerations to be worried about. But yeah, definitely meet with us so we can talk about it more closely. But I would say if going abroad is something that you were hoping to do, I would say take advantage of the time here to do that.
Awesome. I want to address one question in the chat live. So Fern asked if so we don't need to add Psych 100 to our cart because we are getting codes. That's a good question. So no. So you still need to add Psych 100 and whatever other code or whatever other class you get to your cart. In the email, we break down, there's a link to how to use a permission code. So we're not manually enrolling for you. So there's a difference. So you all are still enrolling, but in a different way. So we're giving you codes that is a guaranteed spot in the class. Becca mentioned in response to another student in the chat, the courses will look full. So if you go to look for Psych 100, you're like, where the heck is this course? It's not here. You need to filter your search settings from open to all classes. This will be noted in that email on August 3rd on how to add things to your cart with permission codes. But right now, all upper division classes are full, but we've saved seats intentionally for all of you. So if you're like, what is going on? This class is closed with the wait list. Still add it to your cart, change it to all classes, then they'll all show up. You could ignore the fact that it's closed or waitlisted or whatever it says because you have a saved spot with that permission code. And there'll be instructions on how to use the permission code to enroll. So you are still doing a process, but you have a guaranteed spot. So we're not doing it for you. You have to do it, but we've saved a spot. Hopefully that makes a little more sense. Yes, yeah. So as Julia said, we will send you a personalized email. So it'll be like, hi, Sonia. Here's what you've completed thus far. Here are your permission codes, Psych 100 with a series of numbers, Psych whatever other course, series of numbers. So that will be on August 3rd. So you can't enroll on August 3rd, but you will have that email ready. And you can add things to your cart in the meantime. So you can add Psych 100, the other one, whatever third course you're interested in, and just be ready for enrollment. Any other questions folks have?
I would like to actually add. Oh, sorry. Did someone have a question?
Oh no, I was just saying these are all really good questions.
So we will be giving you codes for Psych 100 and something else. There's other things you need to consider too. Now, the instructions will tell you how to do it. They are technically listed as closed or waitlisted now, even though we are holding seats for you. In order to add them to your cart, you need to change your search settings to all classes rather than open. From there, you can add yourself to the class, use the code, and enroll. While doing so, you are going to be asked to choose a discussion section. One thing the permission codes do not do is let you into waitlisted discussion sections. So you need to make sure that you choose an open discussion section if you want the code to work. It'll bypass any restrictions on the lecture itself, but it will not bypass a waitlisted discussion section.
Absolutely. And what Ryan just explained is really important because if you pick a waitlisted discussion section, it just waitlists you in the whole course, which defeats the purpose of having a code, right? All of this will be detailed in that personalized email you get. But if you all are reading through this, if you read through it a couple times, you're like, I still don't get this. Do not feel bad about that. Reach out, email Side EV, come to drop in, schedule an appointment. If you're like, I really just want to make sure I'm entering this code in the right place, please ask us. That's what we're here for. And then it looks like someone had a question. Giselle asked any tips to make the transition more smooth. I thought this would be a good one to answer live before we wrap up a little bit. I would say I wasn't a transfer student, so I don't have that shared experience. I know Ryan was, but I would say, um, try to push yourself a little bit in terms of something that really helped me. And I know I started as a frosh, so it's a little bit different. But something that helped me is kind of staying out of my area of residence as much as possible at the beginning. And what I mean by that is obviously you can go back there and chill, but there's a lot of programming set up for you to make you feel welcome, right? During that first week. So even if my mom always told me, like, just make an appearance, just stop by. And often, I'd end up staying for most of the time for whatever events they have planned at your residential college or the campus at large, right? So there'll be a lot of things set up to help you feel welcome and more acclimated to campus. So push yourself a little bit and go to as many of those as possible. Also reach out to us. We're all former students. We have a great love for this campus, but we know it's intimidating. When I came in, I was scared. I was like, this is my dream school, but I have no idea what I'm doing. So we're here to help you with that process. So I would say push yourself a little bit in terms of not isolating yourself to your residence as much at the beginning, because that can make the transition a little bit harder. Anyone else have anything to add to that before we wrap up? All right. Any last minute questions? Awesome. I'm glad, Giselle. Let's see. I know we're answering some in the chat. Yeah, of course. Awesome. So I think that's all the questions we had. Again, advisors love questions, so we're literally at your disposal to ask questions. So please ask us questions. It doesn't have to be in this session because we're wrapping up, but please email us. We're super excited for you all. This is a big achievement. It gets harder to get into this university every single year, so you all should be very, very proud of yourselves. You're now part of the Banana Slug family and part of the Psych family as well. And myself and my colleagues are here to support you along the way and get you to that finish line and walk the stage. And come welcome week, which is the week you move in prior to when classes start, we'll have an in-person presentation. So you'll get to meet all of your fellow transfer proposed psych and cog sci students. So that'll be a really great opportunity to network, meet with us in person, and gain a little bit more insight, meet some of our faculty, our department chair, our vice chair. Oh, and to wish you all goodbye. This is our advising assistant, Bindi. This is my cat who makes her presence known in every Zoom meeting. So if you schedule an appointment with me, she'll probably arrive. But I know we're over time, so I want to let you all go. But congrats again. Thank you all for coming. Reach out anytime and welcome to UCSC. Thanks, everyone. So you can say bye, everyone.